Hey, welcome everybody. It's time again for our Week with Wendy. The only show where you'll find real talk about the SoCal estate of mind with our host, Wendy Ross, who after decades of working at a variety of real estate brokerages in Silicon Valley, where's that? Decided it was time to create a different real estate business model. So she did. That's what we're going to talk about today as well. It's called Veracity Real Estate. Enter the market, and she thinks it's a time that's ripe for renewed commitment to bespoke client advocacy. What the heck is that? At all price levels, customized service, seldom available within high-cost luxury markets. Wendy's built a company of data-driven real estate investment advisors who are truth seekers and truth tellers. What you hear time and again is that Wendy and her team provide their clients with facts and data derived from practical local real estate analysis. They even study international luxury trends. We talked about that last week a little bit. So clients can make the best informed decisions for their family legacy. So welcome, if you will, the one woman who seems to be on top of all these trends, Wendy Ross. Hey, Wendy.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing good. That's a lot to live up to. You're talking about bespoke services and data and truth telling. You give any of that to us today here?
A little bit. Have you met my publicist? She talks me up something large. There's a lot to be said for having a good team.
That's it. Well, she's definitely got me excited at the story here. So who did you bring along today, and what are we going to talk about?
Well, let me back up for a second. I mean, you can count on me for market analysis that you won't find anywhere else. And one of the ways I can provide market analysis that you can't find anywhere else is my team. So today I have Miss Gina Oddo with me. She is my very first agent at Veracity Real Estate Company, and I don't know what I would do without her. And she has her own fun, fabulous history with Orange County real estate that she's going to share a little bit later. And
is she going to share the real inside scoop of what it's like to work with you and Veracity there?
If you're very, very lucky.
Okay. All right.
If you're very, very lucky. More importantly, today we're having a conversation with Professor Christopher Schwarz, who is here at UCI. So he's going to join us and talk a little bit about what he does in the economy. But before we dive into that conversation, let's talk about the market. Let me frame last week for you. It was very much the same. It's getting a little bit boring. We're selling too much of too little, too fast, and for too much. We sold 10% more homes than we normally would have in the last week, and that was exactly the same as October. And at the end of October, I crunched the data. We sold more homes in that month than we normally do in October by, again, 10%,
Wow.
Yet we had 55% fewer homes to choose from. So the absorption rate is obscene. Again, hopefully Professor Schwarz can help me understand why this is happening, because I'm losing my mind. But what's interesting is in the big news is Zillow. I'm sure we all heard the headlines, right? That
I saw that, yeah.
Zillow shuttered their Zillow offers or their iBuyer platform. And I laughed all day long about that. I'm like, oh my goodness, you mean those Z estimates didn't work out for you? You had to write down $304 million in assets that they can't flip because they're underwater.
Yeah.
So as much as I'd like to cry the blues for them, I don't.
How did they get it that wrong? We somehow think any platform has got all the data and the information. They blew it on that one. They guessed wrong.
Their Z estimates, I've always said, are a really good barometer. You can use it as a baseline to get a sense of what's going on in terms of value in a neighborhood, but you can't take it as gospel. You can't make purchase decisions based on these algorithms. The computers, as smart as they are, they don't know about the conditions of the homes. They don't know if one side of the street has an ocean view and the other doesn't, and so on.
Yeah.
There are so many vagaries and so many things that just require an advocate to take a look at and discern for you.
You mean we need real people like you guys out there?
Yeah,
still?
You need humans like us.
Okay. All
You
right.
do.
I thought we could get rid of all these humans.
That's what Rick Sharga said, but he's on next week and we'll talk about that too.
Okay.
What I thought was interesting, though, is almost in the same breath, I mean, we're all talking about Zillow dumping the iBuyer platform and laying off 25% of their staff. But what no one's talking about outside of my industry is that they also snatched up the Showing Time app. Showing Time is software that all of us use. Thousands and thousands of realtors across the country are using this new app to schedule our showings at homes that are for sale. And Zillow gobbled that one up. So obviously they're looking for some way to shore up some profit margin, which is interesting. And also Compass. You've heard of Compass Real Estate. They're a mega broker growing, growth through acquisition, which is the American way, right? They bought Glide. Glide is a transaction management software that we all use as well. So as much as it ticks me off that I'm lining my competition's pockets, I have to tip my hat. It was very smart of them to acquire this. So it's interesting that we see these mega companies in real estate absorbing these smaller companies and diversifying a little bit. And I think it's because we're all paying attention to the big headline. The Department of Justice continues to investigate NAR, the National Association of Realtors. And they have been after us with pitchforks out saying you are price fixing, you're establishing commissions that are unfair, it's unfair to buyers. And this conversation's gone on for more than a year now. And I do think the shakeup's going to be real. And I do think we're going to go back to a different commission model. So
that is news to me. I didn't even know there was an investigation going. In the midst of so many investigations, I missed that one.
That's why you enjoy my company.
It is. You're always opening my eyes to these
Tell
things.
you all the tidbits that no one else is talking about. But that's going to be interesting. And if you think about it, commissions shouldn't be set by the seller. I mean, the seller wants their home to sell for the highest price possible. So, of course, they're going to compensate their team for it. But the buyer doesn't want to pay the highest price possible. And the buyer doesn't want their broker to get more money if they overpay, quote unquote, for a home. So it's an interesting phenomenon. I mean, right now, no one seems to care. They're willingly overpaying. They know that they're overpaying, but they don't care. And hopefully this will end. I don't know. We're in the thick of it. So in terms of the market, it's too hot. I want to go back to normal. I don't know if we're going to have normal anytime soon. Again, that's a Chris question. So, and speaking of Chris Schwarz, every week I'm asking notable names to join me and provide you with some behind the scenes analysis of what the heck is going on. And as you probably know by now, given this discussion, I view things a little bit differently, and I like to invite other people who view things a little bit differently too. So that is why we have our guest, Christopher Schwarz, Associate Professor of Finance and Faculty Director at UCI Center for Investment and Wealth Management. Thanks for being here, Chris.
Thanks for having me. I have so many comments on your first 10 minutes. I don't know if you want me to start now or just wait.
Well, Paul's going to introduce you really quickly, and then you can jump in with whatever you like.
All right. Well, let's go back. And I was waiting for him just to take off, and he just said, thank you. That was it.
Welcome to the show. Wait.
Yeah, right. Well,
I can read the script.
Chris Schwarz is an Associate Professor of Finance and Faculty, Director of the Center for Investment and Wealth Management at UC Irvine, right here on campus where we stream this show from. Chris provides a number of economic forecasts in the region in addition to his work at UCI. And today he brought a giant crystal ball. It's in a bag. He's going to bring it out, and he's going to tell us all about it. And joining him is, as we said, Gina Oddo. Did I say it correctly here?
You did.
Okay. Couple extra letters in there. I'm not sure I want to pronounce it correctly here, but Gina was raised in a real estate household. She's been doing this since birth with her parents, Lou and Diana, who spent 45 years serving their clients in Orange County. Amazing. Gina transitioned into full-time real estate after 24 years in hospitality, bringing a knack for unparalleled customer service and sales experience to the Veracity team, and she's here to keep it honest. That's why Veracity is about honesty. She's going to keep it real today here. So bring him in. Welcome to the show, you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks,
you.
Paul.
All right, I'm going to let you jump in. Now, Chris, you set him up, and he dodged that one. You're like, give me some insight. And he went, hello.
Well, first, I have to tell you, I'm delighted that you agreed to be my guest. And I don't know if you know this, you're only my second guest. This is a brand new adventure here in Radioland.
Well, you know that silver is the worst metal to win, right?
Second best.
Yeah. No, because, you're close to gold. So you're really pissed off that you didn't win gold. Gold's happy because they won, and bronze is happy just to have a medal. But silver's the most angry because they didn't get gold, and they're not happy.
I think you misunderstood. I said you're my second guest, not the second best. See, I was smart, and I didn't make you come for the debut because if I screwed everything up, it would have made you look bad. But no, we ironed out all the kinks, and we have you here.
Any publicity is good publicity.
Fabulous. All right, so Gina, we'll get to you in just a minute, but I'm going to let Chris take over here. I first saw you when you were giving an economic forecast at the Balboa Bay Club for the Newport Beach Chamber of Commerce, and I was wowed. I was wowed both by your delivery, your calm demeanor, your command of the room. Obviously, you're intelligent, you're funny, and so, of course, I wanted you to be in my studio for a follow-up performance. So having said that, let's get right down to the basics. What kind of research do you do?
Actually, most of my research is non-real estate related. I do a lot of work on disclosure and fraud and things like hedge funds. So that's my primary research.
It's like institutional.
Correct. Yeah.
I
So
see.
you know that those mutual fund things you get in the mail
Mm-hmm.
that you promptly take the plastic off and put them in the recycling bin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I see if you should read those or not.
Okay. And should I?
Yes. Do you? No.
No.
Do I read them? No. But you should.
Okay. Well, now that I know what you do, and it has nothing whatever to do with me,
Well, you asked me about my research.
That's
I
true.
mean, academic research and non-academic research don't necessarily have to collide, right?
well, I understand that your passion plays financial literacy. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So, I mean, I think financial literacy, to steal a phrase from the East Coast that's probably not appropriate anymore, but it's kind of like the redheaded stepchild of education, meaning that nobody teaches it. So there's this great study of high school students that finds that 92% of parents think high school students learn about financial literacy at school. And then they asked the high school students where they learned about financial literacy, and 90% said at home.
Oh, dear.
So pretty much nobody teaches it. There's no mandate here in the A through G requirement in California that you have to learn about financial literacy. Even here on campus, there is no mandate for financial literacy education. And so the center, CIWM, their really kind of mandate is to teach financial literacy to high school students, starting with the most valuable financial literacy lesson, which is the value of education. So if you go to college versus if you just graduate high school, you make twice as much money per year. So for all the talk that college is expensive, the difference in 1 year salary will pay for all 4 years here at UCI, basically.
Wow.
And then, then we go through and teach here at college about basic budgeting, investing, credit, savings. And I spend a lot of time on behavioral issues. I think that's budgeting's like dieting, right? I mean, it's really easy to say you're on a diet and then
But are you really doing it?
Exactly. Like the best t-shirt I've ever seen says I'm on a 30-day diet. So far I've lost 15 days. And that's kind of like budgeting, right? I mean, it's really easy to say you have a budget and you can look at it and then yada, 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 17 sponsored Instagram posts later, you're broke.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's what we spend a lot of time on at the center, and great group of obviously I'm just a tiny little cog, great staff, great group of board members that help do that.
I think that's wonderful. Now, who is eligible to come and participate in that center?
Sure. So in terms of, for the board, I mean, anyone from the community is happy to reach out to me and we'll talk about being on the board. And for students, I mean, pretty much any student can come that wants to learn about financial literacy. So, no restrictions. Some of our high school programs are kind of focused on different groups of students, but pretty much anyone that wants to learn about financial literacy, except for crypto. I'll just tell you not to buy crypto. Anything else, you're happy to come to the center and learn about financial literacy.
I loved in your presentation how you said crypto isn't a currency, so technically it's a collectible.
It's really not a currency, right? Because you can't buy anything with it. And then it's really not a financial asset, right? Because it's not a claim on future cash flows. And it's not a commodity because you don't use it for anything. So the only thing it could qualify under is a collectible. And even all the listeners out there can see my collection of Bitcoin because it's invisible, right? So you just have to imagine like coins floating in the air. So I don't know what the hell it is, but anyway, it's some good FOMO for sure.
Oh, we're going to be talking about that in coming months. I've got someone asking me to help him buy a house with crypto. So I'll let you know how that works
Well,
out.
after he pays his 45% tax on his crypto,
Right?
good luck buying your house.
I know. He's going to have to cash in so much.
7% more after today.
After today, fabulous. Thanks so much. All right, that was sobering. All right, so tying financial literacy back into my world, because you're in my world right now.
Sure.
What does it have to do with housing? Do you think anything?
Well, to quote the National Association of Realtors, it has never been a better time to buy a home. I'm pretty sure they have said that every single year. By the way, just on the commission lawsuit, I love all these buyers and sellers that are so disappointed that they become filthy rich over the last whatever number of years with the current commission model. That nothing makes me more happier than see people complain about a financial system that's made them rich.
It's kind of ill-placed bitterness, isn't it?
Yeah, I have a friend that, he's probably made $6 million from nothing over his life and bitches about fees from the financial system. And I'm like, okay, well, good for you.
Good friend.
Yeah. We kind of gone at it and over text, but seriously, I mean, housing is super cheap.
So explain that. How can you say that housing is super cheap?
Sure. So, I mean, people are like, oh, we're way above the 2007 bubble. Well, newsflash, wages are up 66% since the bubble, right?
Wow.
And interest rates during the bubble were 8% mortgage rate. And we're 3% right now?
Mm-hmm.
So, if you calculate the payment payment for a median house, I'm not, versus income, it's below the median for the last 30 years. It's actually above average affordability.
That's incredible.
The problem is for the first time buyer, basically. So let's just do some quick math. You like math, right?
I love math.
All right. So if you bought probably the median home here in Irvine in 2011, it was probably 600 G's, 700 G's here in Irvine?
7.
All right, we'll call it 7, right? You put 20% down. That means you got, let's see, a $560,000 mortgage. Let's say you paid none of that off over the last 10 years, right? Now your $700,000 house is probably worth about $1.142 million. Right. Which means that if you haven't paid any of your house off, you got about $600,000 in equity, which pretty much means you have a 20% down payment on a $3 million house with incredibly low mortgage rates. So you're feeling good.
Right.
The problem is for the first time home buyer that has no down payment and now needs to come up with $236,000 to buy that now starter home of $1.1482 million. And so the payment's probably affordable, but the down payment is not.
Right. Gina's nodding vigorously. We've been living
Very
this
much so.
dream, right?
Yes, constantly. I
Yeah.
always feel bad for my first-time buyers,
So
especially in this market.
what do you see that they're doing, Gina, to overcome this obvious problem?
Well, there's a few different things that I've seen. There are FHA loans, which you can put down a lower
Down payment.
down
Yeah.
payment of like 3.5%.
Yeah.
But in this market, a lot of sellers don't want to sell to FHA lenders. They're borrowing money from family.
Yeah.
Family are taking out loans against their homes to help their first-time buyers.
Yeah, kidney sales are up.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, and I've been saying for years, you haven't known me that long, but you'll start to figure me out, Chris, I'm sure. I've been saying for years that Southern California and America overall is approaching the European model. And for generations, for millennia, even in Europe, there were landowners and there was everybody else. And that's what we're becoming. I mean, especially in Orange County, there's this huge bifurcation. It's the haves and the have-nots. And the stigma of being a renter was pretty much erased during the last meltdown. And I think that it's still somewhat gone. And there's going to be a lot fewer people buying and owning a lot more of the real estate, which scares me. When you put that much equity and that much, that many assets in fewer hands, stuff starts to get kind of dicey. Chris is nodding. Thoughts?
We're so far away from Europe on home ownership. I'm not sure where to start with that comment.
But we're moving in that direction, don't you think?
I mean, Europe's like, 32% home ownership, and we're like 67%. So we have a very long way to go. I mean, no offense to Orange County, but Orange County is not even close to representative of the country.
Fair.
So, I mean, yeah, we have insane real estate prices here in Orange County, but I mean, even if you get to like northern Orange County, I mean, people can still buy homes there.
Right.
So, I mean, anyway.
So is that why you?
I mean, look what happened to Smart Zillow. They went and tried and monopolized it, and I mean, that takes some real talent to be 67% underwater when the market's up 20% year over year. I mean, real talent.
It's a special gift, isn't it?
I mean,
I still giggle.
I mean, real talent. Anyway, so I think we're far away from that. I mean, that's my personal opinion.
But you also don't think we're in a bubble?
I mean, that one's harder to say. I mean, I don't think we're in a bubble. I think housing's expensive, right? So I think everyone likes the word bubble because, okay, so first of all, everybody likes bad news more than good news, right? This is a fact of human nature. There's a reason that we talk about all the terrible things going in the world every night on the news. And my economic forecast in March 2020 got 10 times the number of views my forecast got in March of 2021.
Really?
Because everybody likes crap news.
So
So we should be saying the market is going to crash. It's horrible. You should pay attention to the rest of the show.
No.
But no, but I think everything, if we look at all asset prices, even if you step away from real estate, it gets back to the fact that interest rates are so low, right? So I could tell you that if you look at just price of stocks, it looks like we're in a crazy bubble. But if you actually look at stock price, like interest rates versus dividend yield on the S&P 500, it looks like stocks have never been cheaper.
Yeah.
Right.
And
So we're in this
I
very.
miss your charts. Your charts really illustrate that well.
So we're in a very bifurcated world where if you just look at it from a standard price perspective without benchmarking against interest rates, everything looks like it's in a bubble.
See, a little contrast helps.
And then everybody thinks that, interest rates are going to skyrocket, but interest rates are not going to skyrocket.
Why is that?
It's just demographics, right?
What do you mean demographics?
So we're old. Like we as a country.
Some of us are old.
We as a country are old, right? So I mean, just live in a dream scenario. So there's one. So Paul's back there. I think he's napping. No, he's not napping. He's listening to something else. But there's 5 people in this room, right? So
Right.
imagine all 5 of us are between the ages of say 16 and 39, right? 16 to 39-year-olds need money. right? There's a reason that there's all those Bank of Dad shirts, the parents dropping their kids off on campus, right? You need money, right? So if everybody in this room needs money, but none of us are old and have money, right? Then demand for money is high, supply of money is low, and guess what interest rates are?
Hi.
They're going to be high, right? So now imagine we're all 80 years old in this room, right?
That's easier.
And then how many of us are like starting our own business at 80? Probably not many. Or going out and buying a mansion at 80? Probably not many. Or getting a college education at 80? Probably not many. So all of us have money, but none of us are demanding money. So interest rates are really low, right? And so if you just do a simple ratio of young people to old people, it maps perfectly with the 10-year rate over the last 70 years, right? So pretty much the next 10 years, we're going to get older. So interest rates are probably going to trend down. Like, could they go up in a little bit? Sure. But I mean, we're never going back to 8%.
And a lot of people have given me different explanations for that. Some of them say that technology has aided it in that the flow of information almost pre-bakes in some of the swings in the market that used to happen, 50, 60 years ago when information didn't flow as freely. Thoughts? It's a conversation for another day.
I mean, I don't know that there's any scientific basis for that.
So it's somebody's opinion.
I mean, finance is a social science. It's everybody's opinion.
Fancy that, an economist with an opinion.
I know. You know, the only person that makes an economic forecaster look good, right? The weatherman. So.
All right, moving on. So, Chris, in your professional opinion, do you think that SoCal is going to continue to escape the price growth moderation that we're seeing elsewhere?
Yeah, so I think one thing that's interesting is if CaseShiller is like 3 months behind. So I think this is something people don't understand into a 3-month average, right? So it's really about 4.5 months behind. But if you look at more real-time indices, I mean, price growth is down to maybe 10% nationally, 9% instead of 20. So you can see it's crashing pretty fast. I mean, it's not negative, so house prices aren't going down, but I certainly think that'll be hitting SoCal at some point. I think Miami and Southern California are pretty much the only two places that haven't seen it. And it's hard to imagine that we're just going to live in this little bubble where we're immune from everything and everything is never going to go down here. Maybe it does, but it seems rational that it's going to have to kind of probably moderate at some point.
And I agree with that, because what we're seeing is there's still so much pent-up demand that even though appreciation really needs to slow down and it needs to cool off, I don't know that there's going to be a reversal either. And if there is, not before 2023 for sure. It's going to take a while. So, and this is random, so should we be concerned about the Fed rate increases?
Probably. So the issue with Fed rate increases is really more the liquidity part of this situation. So the problem with the Fed right now, so it's just for the listeners who don't know what the Fed tries to do. So the Fed tries to raise interest rates to get us to not buy stuff. Right. So the idea being that, so for example, if the Fed makes the real interest rate really high, then why would I buy a house when I can get like 3-4% real rate risk-free? Problem is to get a 3% risk-free real rate right now, the Fed would have to raise interest rates to like 9%. Because inflation's 6%, right? So even if the Fed raised us 1%, who gives a crap? Because I'm still losing 5% in my checking account. But in theory, I mean, usually the Fed, when they raise rates, it's more than just the rate. It's more the amount of money goes down. And so I think that'll, it's usually the third rate hike. So it won't be the first one that they kick off. It'll probably be the third one that really kind of starts impacting. It's usually about 18 months after the first rate when asset prices really start to be impacted.
So again, well into the next year.
Yeah, I mean, so my concern a little bit about the Fed is I think now that inflation's become a huge political issue, and Jay Powell is up for renewal this year, and I'm not sure what's going to happen there, and the markets might not like that. So I think my fear is that, just before the CPI came out last week, no one was expecting a Fed rate increase till January 2023, and now they think it's going to be June 2022. And so you could see some rapid increases if inflation does not turn around. I think inflation actually might even get worse the next few months. And if that happens, then, I mean, I think the Fed's going to have its hands tied and we could see something sooner than 2023.
It's going to be a shakeup for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, no matter which way it goes.
Yeah, I mean, I think overall, I mean, there's way too many people on Robinhood and people who don't think they can lose any money and over leveraged, and I mean, this happens every cycle, right? Mm-hmm. So you're a person that wants to buy their house with crypto when their Bitcoin's worthless. I mean, it's going to be hard for them to buy a house, right?
Right. And it's interesting that you bring up Robinhood. I'm going to make you talk about that another time. But at this point, you've given us a ton to digest, and I wish I could have you back like every week, but you probably have a real job, so I can't do that.
Yeah, it's right across the street.
I have a few more questions I'm going to ask you, though, before I let you
Sure.
go back to work. But for the moment, I'm pleased to introduce our listeners to some of the This Week with Wendy sponsors.
And let's bring one of them to light here. That's Ford and DiUlio. I want to make sure I say that right. DiUlio. Ford and DiUlio. Ford and DiUlio is an Orange County-based boutique litigation firm with experienced attorneys from big law firms. The partners founded Ford and DiUlio on the concept of aligned interests, where their success is directly related to your success and the results they achieve for their clients, where they're rewarded for being efficient and effective, and where they engage in the relentless pursuit of their clients' goals, whether in litigation, in mediation, or at trial. If all of that is something you're lacking in your legal representation, you might check them out, FordDiulio.com, just like it sounds, FordDiulio. Ford and DiUlio, sponsors of This Week with Wendy. All right, back to Wendy. Can I ask one quick question? I don't know if I'm allowed to ask questions
Yes,
since
please.
I'm listening to this. The one thing nobody has talked about, and I know you will at some point, what does it do with the influx of foreign money into Orange County? For a long time, we heard the Chinese are coming. They'll buy anything. They just want to get the money out of China, and they're buying huge developments in Irvine, anything, crazy prices. Does that skew the market? Does that keep prices up when you've got so many people desperate to get money out and invested somewhere else? What do you think?
It used to. I'm not seeing that in recent years.
That's what somebody else says. It's slowing
Chris is
down.
smiling.
I thought the U.S. dollar was dead. Who wants to own that crappy?
Yeah, the yuan is the future.
But when Orchard Hills was first released,
Right, exactly.
they would send their ambassadors or their family representatives, and they would buy 2, 3, 4 at a time, sight unseen. But we're just not seeing that in recent years.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's political. I mean, Chris, is the Chinese government just making it harder for them to get cash out? What's going on?
It's called Bitcoin.
Oh, okay.
Full circle.
All roads lead back to crypto.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I like it when things come together. What can I say? I think So I mean, I don't know. As a statistician, I think probably 70% of Irvine is Asian owned, right? Either
Yeah,
first
Korean or
generation.
Chinese. Yeah.
So I mean, how do you differentiate at this point, right? I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm just saying, I think probably you have local. I mean, one of the interesting things always about real estate is we talk about how communities segregate. And there's a great model done by a researcher that shows that even if you randomly distributed race and everything on a board in Manhattan, if you waited 30 years, they'd all segregate together. Right, so
Self-segregate, yeah.
Exactly, because if you're Chinese, probably you don't want to live in Laguna because it's probably a 30-minute drive, not counting that stupid construction they said to do in the middle of tourism on PCH, to the nearest Chinese.
Send your comments to
to the nearest Chinese grocery store, right?
Right.
So some of these things are I mean, they have plenty of money. I mean, they don't want to live in Laguna or Newport Beach, generally speaking, right? Because it's too far away. So, I mean, I think there's other ways to get the money out of the country. I think China's actually locked down quite a bit on getting the money out. So I think it's a bit more challenging.
Yeah, we haven't seen Middle Eastern money. We haven't seen Chinese money, nothing like we did.
Yeah, or
10
the
years
80s,
ago.
it was Japanese money. They were buying up everything for some reason, every commercial building, hotel, whatever in town here. Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's a lot of just good old homegrown American cashola. So before we get to my favorite wrap-up questions, Gina, tell us a little bit about you and answer the burning question of what's it really like to work with me.
Yeah, that's what we've been waiting for. Come
Go
on
easy
now.
on me.
This is the moment of truth. This is reality TV now here.
Oh, great. A little bit about me. I'm an Orange County girl, born and raised here, watched real estate grow, watched real estate in the family, and ended up in the industry.
I love your stories about holidays with your parents.
Oh, yeah. We used to do, I think it was when I was between my tween years and my teen years, we would do 8 to 10 holiday parties every single holiday. So it would be Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday night. And my parents had different groups of friends, colleagues, or clients that we would host. And my sister and I would have to dress up to the nines and then walk around as waitresses. Literally walking around, making sure everybody had something to eat, something to drink, and then do the typical, "Hi, how are you, Gina? How have you been? How's school?" 'Cause what else do you have to talk about to a 12-year-old?
Exactly.
How's
Exactly.
school?
Can I ask follow-up
School's
questions?
great. Yeah.
So one is, did you get a gift at every one of the Christmas
Yeah,
parties?
yeah,
No.
something.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
That's
yeah,
a bummer.
no.
And then two is just a general question. Why do we say dress up to the nines? Wouldn't you want to be a 10? I don't get it.
That's
I'm
too
gonna have to
much?
look that up. I don't know where that phrase. It must come from like the 20s or 30s. Most
Did we add numbers since then?
living at the Ritz or something, or yeah.
Anyway,
This
sorry.
is research worthy. I'm
sorry,
gonna look
sorry.
into
That's
that.
the nerd in me.
That's
I just
the
I
nerd. You're
love
gonna
it.
think
I love
about
Anyway.
it. Well, and I find it ironic that after being trotted out, duty called every holiday, that you still wanted to come into the industry with me. It's like you are a special kind of crazy.
Well, and then
She
I
heard you
also,
were Jewish, actually. No Christmas parties.
Send your nasty comments to not here.
and no wonder why I was in the hospitality industry serving people for 24
Yeah,
years.
right.
No
right?
joke,
It
right?
was inbred in me.
Can I ask you a question? I assumed you were going to tell us these were all at open houses. Because your
No.
parents, that's the problem being a realtor. Do you have no real weekends? Every weekend
Yeah,
is at an
no.
open house somewhere. So I thought you'd be doing parties, but at customers' open houses to show them off and make
No,
money.
not at all.
Are
It
you
was-
kidding? Every day's a party in real estate.
Is it? Oh, I see. I didn't know.
We don't
There you
need no
go.
stinking days off.
And that's why I landed in real estate. There you go.
Actually, it's a funny story though, because Gina and I met when she was still in the hospitality industry, and she told me that her mom and dad were both in the business, and I was encouraging her to get her license, which she had said she was going to do, and said, if nothing else for referrals, you can refer clients to me.
Ah,
And here we are, a couple years later, and we work together. So
Look
who
at that.
knew, right?
It's time you to
Yeah.
get your own brokerage.
That's right.
Quit working for other people.
Build it better, smarter, faster, stronger.
Exactly. That's what we do.
Tune in next week.
Hey. All right. So this is my favorite part of the show. I want to swing it back around and start asking questions that have very little and sometimes nothing whatever to do with real estate.
That's
So
pretty much most of what I said this show, so we're right on topic.
we're on point then,
Yep.
darn it. All right. So Chris, starting with you, what city do you call home?
I live in Irvine, but
That's hilarious.
every time I get off the plane in Boston, I call that home. So, but I live in Irvine.
Okay. So, but you call Boston home still?
Yeah, that's okay.
But he's a Laker fan. That's what he told me earlier.
Oh
That
yeah,
is
right.
not what
Faker
it's-
fan.
That is not what I heard. That is not what I heard. Okay, so since this is a show about real estate, can you tell us a little bit about what you do love about living in Irvine, if anything?
The weather here is criminally good. So if I give you I'll give you the pro and con list. That's more than you
Bring
asked
it.
for, but
Bring it.
the weather's ridiculously good. I think there's a good variety of food in the area to eat here. I mean, you can get anywhere from great Mexican food to Asian food to American food. So I like the food here is good. I love UCI, and I have tenure, so I don't have to worry about getting fired. But I actually do love UCI and what it's done, and I can't believe how much it's grown in the 13 years I've been here. So there's lots of things I love about living here. You know what I don't love about living here? The effing stoplights. The effing. Can we have some kind of sensor for a car that turns right and wait 15 seconds to see if the car can turn right before you get everyone to stop? I mean, how hard is that?
I don't know.
Is that like new technology? Is that like when we invented the number 10? is when we had those things that.
But you
decided
could
to
go
turn
back
the
to
right?
Boston and they don't even follow the stoplight.
Exactly.
It turns red, they keep going.
I mean,
Fair point.
Exactly. I mean, it's like that's
And I think Chris would too. He would just keep going.
They just keep going.
I mean, I love the California roll. I mean, it's amazing. I sometimes roll at like 50 miles an hour. I'm joking, of course, but anyway, that's what I don't like about
All
it.
you Audi drivers are the same.
Yeah.
I saw you park this morning.
I thought he's one of those. Have you seen the car driving on UCI that has no driver? Somebody's experimenting on campus with. I see it all the time when I come in here.
Probably somebody here, right?
Probably,
At the
yeah.
Cove, right?
Yeah. I thought he was in on it, but maybe not.
No.
All right, Miss Gina. So how about you? What city do you call home?
Buena Park has been home since young childhood.
And
Annyeonghaseyo.
Yes, exactly. But that's changed over the years.
Has it
In
really?
the last, yeah. So the last, I would say, maybe 15 to 18 years is when that changed. And it was in the neighborhood that I grew up in.
Were you
There's a
there
golf
when
course.
Ralph invented the boysenberry, or
Not quite that old, but
the guy
I
from
do know what you're
Knott's Berry
talking about.
Farm? Yeah, he invented boysenberry.
That was
did.
that was your time, Paul.
We and the old pioneers right off the wagons came out here.
that might even
Something like
predate
that.
me. That's hard to do.
Yeah.
So, what do you love about living there?
My neighborhood is an older neighborhood.
Like mine.
Yeah, older neighborhood. I know everybody on my block. It's very established neighborhood, very middle America, but we could go next door, very 50s feeling where you can go next door. Hey, I need a cup of sugar or whatever else I might need. And just knock on the door and say hi to my neighbors. They're always out. It's kind of different.
That's nice.
There's a lot of areas where you don't know your neighbors. And
I
I'm
don't-
grateful to
I
know
don't see
mine.
Chris getting sugar from his neighbor. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I just don't expect that's
I
going to
don't,
happen.
I don't have to go outside. I can just knock on the window from my window.
You just reach because you're in Irvine where there's 0 lot lines. All right,
Exactly.
Chris, tell me, what is your most treasured possession?
Ooh, that's a tough one. You know, I mean, in fairness to the listeners, you know, you provided me with this list beforehand. I must say, without my parents will never listen to this. So my grandma's lasagna recipe I've handwritten and framed on the wall.
That's awesome.
So I'd say that, you know, that would probably be it. I have a lot. I have more than that, but I'll pick that one.
And is it a meat lasagna?
Of course,
Yeah, lots of ricotta.
of course. It's got
Of
like 4
course.
cheeses on it. man.
That's right.
See, you
That's a
understand
good
it.
Italian.
Sitting next to a good Italian girl, Gina Oddo. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
So this is my grandmother got it from her aunt who married into the family who's from Italy. So
That's
yeah.
fantastic.
And what
So-
part of Italy? North, south, different cuisines.
I don't. She's some aunt married into the family 2 generations ago. I have no idea. It just tastes good.
It's just good lasagna, darn it. All right, Gina, that's going to be tough to top it. What's your most treasured possession?
I have a ring from my grandmother.
There you go.
Oh.
That is, it has a stone for all 6 of her children.
That's very cool.
And it's not that it's worth a lot or anything, but she wore it. When I see the ring, she wore it every day from the day she got it. So it's very, very precious to me.
That was actually her brand, that ring.
Am I allowed to make a joking comment?
Of course.
Was she really good at Trivial Pursuit? Because I believe there was actually 6 different colors in that ring too. You guys ever played that game?
Boy, he knows
Oh,
lots
yes.
of trivia here. I didn't know that. I played that game.
You know, it's got
There
the circle
was.
with the
The
6
circle with the 6
triangles.
pies,
Yeah, and
yeah.
they're different, like the brown and the yellow and
How
the
about
green.
Twister?
and-
How many colors in Twister?
There's 4 colors or 2 colors. I don't know. I didn't play
4.
Twister.
Ah, okay.
4.
Yeah, Twister I played,
I
Trivial
have-
Pursuit.
as my mother would tell me, I have many talents. Yoga is not one of them, so I would not be a
Twister.
good Twister player.
You probably played mean basketball, though.
I did play basketball, and
There you go.
I'm an excellent golfer.
Oh, that's right. You did tell me that before. We'll have to have you back, and we'll talk about golf and statistics. It'll be fun.
I'm pretty sure everyone just tuned out.
Yeah, I know. I'm kidding. That was a
Snore.
joke, people.
I
I'm
dropped
joking.
out on that
Your
one.
publicist just agreed with me, so we should
Yeah.
probably move to the next
Kara's
question.
nodding off. All right,
Yeah.
Chris, what is your personal motto?
F me, F you.
Nice. He speaks
That's
my
an
language.
East Coast Italian kind of
I
thing.
love it.
Yeah,
Gina.
Wow.
right. Wow. See, that's a California
Mine's so
thing. Wow.
flowery. Be the change you want to see in the world.
There you go. I have that on an ashtray over there. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, exactly.
See, and now you know why I love having Gina around. She is the sunshine to my rain. You're the bomb. All right, well, we're going to have to wrap it up, but I cannot thank you enough. Thank you so much for being here, Chris.
Appreciate it.
Let's do this again. And thanks, Miss
Don't
Gina.
ever bring him back.
Yeah,
Somebody's-
I'm a one and done. One hit wonder.
I don't believe you.
Well, there you have it. That's a wrap. Please join us next week for This Week with Wendy, and be sure to follow Veracity Real Estate Company, Veracity. The Truth, Veracity Real Estate Company on Instagram and LinkedIn, where you'll also be able to find this show wherever you listen to favorite podcasts as well. So, Wendy, before we end out, you got any hints what's coming up on deck here?
I am so excited. Next week we have Rick Sharga from Realty Track, and he and I go way, way back, and we've argued many times over the decades, and I can't wait to argue with him on the air. It'll be
Okay.
fun.
We're going to argue it all out next week, right here on This Week with Wendy. Right here from Orange County's only community radio station, streaming live from the University of California, Irvine's Beal Applied Innovation Center.